want to go introductions because although you're a man that doesn't need any introductions, I want to know introduction, how long you've been practicing medicine, and we'll start with there.
Okay, that's all. Now I feel old.
Well,
okay. Just
you can lie. You can lie around
until this
down.
last minute. I felt young. I started practice 23 years ago. So I decided, the genius decided, I'm just going to put a shingle out. And I'm going to go down to a building and I'm going to rent 4,000 feet and I'm going to start a practice. Because that's a really good idea from a guy from Jersey with no money.
So you started a practice, but let's rewind. That means you started in a hospital setting.
Well,
in another setting.
We all started in the hospital,
okay.
Right? When you come out of residency, fellowship, you spend a lot of time in a hospital. That's where your life is. You're in scrubs all day, and you're there through the night. When you talk about not coming home till midnight, you're at the hospital. So it's a life of hospital. That's what it is.
So when you were in that setting, I'm always curious. I had my knee done, and we talked about this earlier. Did the surgeon that did my knee in the hospital setting, did he know how much that surgery actually cost?
He has no idea. No idea, because remember the hospitals. There's no transparency between physicians and hospital, whether it be admin, whether it be hospital in general. There's no transparency, right? So we come and we practice and we bill fee for service, just like the hospital does. So we go back to our office, we take our face sheet, and we bill our costs, and we get
the professional charges.
A professional payment. We have nothing to do with the hospital.
So in that setting, you are walking into your OR, you've got patients sitting there. Do you know who's working with you? Do you have a set team or how does that work in the hospital setting?
Usually not. I was very fortunate because I've had the same people for many years, but it's been a battle. It's been a fight to keep those people, to keep the consistency. When you look at the outcomes of surgery, you're right. It depends on me for sure, right? I'm doing this, performing the surgery, but anything that makes you great in life is the people around you make you great, right? So the people that make me great in the OR are the people that hand me the instruments, the anesthesiologist that puts them to sleep, my assistant, my first assist, my PA, who literally is just awesome. I can't do a surgery without this guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those are the people that make you great. So in the hospital, there just isn't the consistency.
So fast forward, you decide to hang the shingle, and now it's yours. You control everything. Talk about the difference in just running a business where then you control everything.
So in 2009, I thought, if we're doing this in the hospital, and these are young patients, why can't we do a hip or knee replacement in my surgery center in my office? So I built this great surgery center, and we start doing these surgeries, right? But now I'm the hospital on the billing side, right? So now I'm going after the companies, and that's where we developed the bundle rate, where we went to the insurance companies and we said, hey, I can do this cheaper. Money matters. I mean, it's not cheaper in quality, it's cheaper in money. And what you charge the insurance, what you charge the patient, I can do it for a better cost and have a better outcome. So what would you, in healthcare, what could be better than a better cost and a better outcome? Nothing. So my ASC allowed me to do that because I control the costs, I control the staff, I control the instruments, I control what we do in that facility. And nobody's more passionate about that experience than me because it reflects on me.
It's your name.
Mine.
It's your name on the door.
My name's on the side of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So you take this to an insurance company and you say, hey, here's how I want to change the way we're compensated. What was that conversation like?
Well, usually the insurance companies, when we first started, maybe sometimes they'd take me to dinner. Now I'm taking all them to dinner and begging them for business. And the way that I set this up was I knew, and I found out, I did my little research and found out what they're paying in the hospital for the hospital costs, the surgeon, anesthesia, implant, and I put them all together and I said, I'm going to do this for 25% less. Of course, and what did they say? No way. Come on. You're not going to do that. I said, well, here's your number, because they don't know the number. So here's your number. It was $28,000. So I'm going to do it for 22. They're like, what? You're going to do this less, and you're going to do it better, and you're going to eliminate complications. Really? How's that going to? So they agreed to a 1-year study in 2011, 156 patients, my patients. At the end of that year, I said, I'll present you all the data. And I presented it to them. And they're all like, oh my God, you weren't kidding.
Wow.
We can do this better.
So 156 patients, is that a lot of, is that a lot of little, like, how much would a general, like, you in a hospital setting, because this is all you do, you only do orthopedics, but like a generalist that's doing surgeries and that,
we do 450 now. So back in then we just had to get a small group.
Right.
So that 156 was studied, and you know what happened? At the end of the 156, I kept studying them. So now we're almost at 4,000, and everyone got the same study as 2011. So every year I get to report my results to the payer to say, we're still doing it better. We're still doing it less expensive.
So I know you're not a braggadocious guy, but talk to me about the results, the quality side of this conversation.
And if you think about this, yes, it's me again, but again, it's our facility, it's our people. So infection rates, right? Our infection rates are less than 2 out of 1,000, maybe 1.5 out of 1,000, if a half was even possible. But secondly, here's the one that I really like, because infections are critical, right? So we all heard about MRSA, this crazy eating bug in a hospital. Well, it doesn't exist in the ASC, in the surgery center. But the thing that was the best, readmissions to the hospital. So in our town, the readmissions were 1 out of 10, 10.5%. 1 out of 10 people with a joint replacement go back to the ER and get readmitted. Ours is 0.8, and it's because of a couple reasons. One is that days we spend with them, we teach them how to take care of themselves. We teach them about things that can go wrong. So when they do go wrong, they expect them. And here's the most important thing, communication. You can call my office right now, you and I sitting here right now, and I will answer, well, we're talking, so my wife will answer it, but I will answer the phone with a question or a complication before they run to the ER.
So walk me through, because there's a lot of people that have never been to an ASC. And so I find a lot of times when we're talking to a patient, we're like, hey, you have this vision of what a hospital is. We want to get you over to ASC. They don't know what it is. Paint a picture of your ASC.
So you're going to the office. You're not walking into this all-consuming hospital, right? And you don't go into the registration. You're basically going to our office. I call it my house. So you're coming to my house to get treated like you're coming to visit my house. And every person there works for me, right? You know, the hospital, sometimes you don't even know who you're going to get.
Right.
I can tell you every time you walk in that door who you're going to get. And the nicest compliment ever is, I haven't met anybody that hasn't been nice and smiling and been great. And I hope that's, without being braggadocious, I hope that's a reflection on me.
So I walk in, though. The only people that are walking into your doors are people that are having surgery. There's no sick people. There's no COVID. There's no nothing. People are coming in to have a surgery and to get out.
And somebody meets them at the door, right? So we're going to do 10 surgeries that day. So that day in the ASC is about 10 people and their families.
That's it.
And 10, because we're going to do 10 surgeries that day, and they're going to stay with me for a couple of days. So that's what we're about that day.
So if you were in the hospital setting, you do 10 a day now. How many would you have done in the hospital?
It's the same number.
Okay.
Same number, but just like you said, it's mayhem.
Right.
It feels like mayhem. And it's literally, it's confusing, it's unsure, it's unpredictable. You walk into the ASC and you're going to see those same people all throughout your care. It's awesome.
So last question. So you have now gotten into this bundled. You're now talking to employers about this. Talk to me about that education even to an employer. So you talk to business owners about this whole concept. Walk me through that conversation and what you wish more employers knew about this.
A lot of times I think the employers aren't sure about what's available for their employees, right? So who would know in Southern California, who would know that they'd come to Vegas, get a joint replacement with a lower risk of infection, right? A better experience. I mean, our net promoter scores are 99.9%. Out of 4,000 people, there are 2. I can tell you their names, but that wouldn't be good on the microphone. 2 people that were unhappy. One, because we fed them too much. So orthopedics is different than real-world medicine. Orthopedics and knee replacement, hip replacement is about an experience, not a procedure. There's so much that goes into this healthy person improving the quality of their life, and that's what we're doing.
I think about this having had a orthopedic procedure myself,
right.
And the differences in the experience. I remember spending hours just to get in, and you're talking 10 a day. Everybody knows, somebody meets them at the door, they're in, they're out, they're staying with you, they're educated on there. So let's end it with this. If we had an employer sitting in front of us, we had an advisor who's building these plans, what do you tell them?
You care about your employees, right? Well, we care about your employees. So if you want this credible experience and provide them something special that they can go down the hospital anytime and get their knee or hip replaced. You want to provide them something special, give them a really neat experience for less money and less cost. And by the way, they'll be back to work because they did not get an infection. And we all know how important our employees are to us, no matter what role they play.
Right.
So it's an option that we just need to educate and become aware of.
Awesome. Well, man,
as always.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, buddy.